Hey everybody, this is Brett with Indie Comics Dispatch and broadcasting from an undisclosed location deep within the Milky Way galaxy. This is broadcast from the Dispatch.
If you got a story and you want the world to know it, if you think you ready and you ain't afraid to show it, throw your hands up high, yeah, we might stand out. We always representing cause that's what it's all about. We always representing cause that's what it's all about. And if you love some indie comics, let me hear you shout. Like, just stay tuned, what's the story? Had to get that every time a brand new indie comic from the Dispatch.
Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Brett. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing much better. And I'm excited. We've moved to Tuesday nights successfully. We tried last week, and then my sick ass messed that up. And so,
Yeah, you with the plague. I mean, there's that. There's always that guy.
yep, always that guy. So that was me. And we're back, and every single one of our guests from last week was joining us. We got a host of some I guess we're the hosts, so that's a weird word to use. A group of really good guests for this evening. And
This guy takes a week off and he doesn't know how to host a show anymore.
I know. So seriously though, the I know lots of people have had COVID, right? So it's whatever. And I know lots of people have had it way worse than I had it, but the brain kind of confusion that went along with it, I'd just be like, somebody'd ask me a question and be like, I know you spoke English, but
I'm calling myself an apex predator because, thankfully, thank God, I haven't had it. I haven't experienced it, especially with where I work in a high traffic area. But I know obviously a ton of people that it's affected. I've had personal family that's affected, family that's passed, the whole deal, like run the gamut of things. But yeah, man, I think everybody's, I don't want to say symptoms are the same, but like the outcomes are vastly different. Somebody's just, they bounce back. Like you said, brain fog, like a bunch of different things. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. So let's talk a little bit about Indie Comics Dispatch real quick before we introduce tonight's guests. So first, I want you to you're doing a really cool show, and I want you to plug it for a minute. It's part of Indie Comics Dispatch. You're doing a show now called Behind the Comics.
So
plug that again.
Behind the Comics is what I like to call a more intimate look at kind of what we're doing now. It's creator one-on-ones, and it really dives deep into why people are doing what they're doing, how they do it, and just a little bit more kind of background information for people that follow comics, want to get into it, follow some of these artists and stuff, and see. I mean, it's not like necessarily glitz and glamour, but it feels that way. It's easy to see what the finished product of a comic is, but to actually get intimate with that process is slightly different. So we kind of want to demystify that for people so we can continue to, just increase and grow this indie community.
It's great. And so what I picked up there is you like to get intimate with the process. Got it.
Me in the process, I turn on some music, I let the lights down real low, and me in the process just go at it.
If you're out there watching, this is broadcast from the Dispatch. We have a great group of guests tonight. We're going to be talking about starting your own comic imprint. I do want to cover a couple things real quick. If you're watching, share the feed, share it to your profile, share it to groups. It helps us grow our audience. It helps more people kind of get more resources, and it just makes us feel cool to have more viewers. Also, we are reigniting the Patreon. So it's not the Patreon went anywhere, but I a little sluggish for a little while. Now that we're officially 501c3, you can donate to the Patreon, patreon.com/IndieComicsDispatch, right there on the screen. Or if you're listening to this on podcast, that's Indie Comics with an X for comics. And that's tax deductible. You'll get tax receipt. That's tax deductible, and you help us continue to cover independent creators and cover indie comic news and reviews without worrying about how we're going to keep the proverbial lights on. So That does help a lot. Also, if you want to be featured on Indie Comics Dispatch, go to indiecomicsdispatch.com. You can submit a press release there. You can submit your comic for a review, and we'll cover you. We'll do our best. We do our best to work through all the review submissions, and then we do our best to post every press release that we get sent. So we do our very best to bring a spotlight to the indie comic community, and the web traffic is growing. We get way over 100 people a day now going to the unique users going to the website, checking out traffic and stuff. So it's a really growing place to be featured as indie creators. Did I miss anything, Brian?
I do not think so. I think all the housekeeping is done.
Great. Do you want to introduce our first guest? Do you have the bios up?
Yeah. Oh, so we're going in order?
Yeah, let's go in that order.
Okay, so I should probably like do my wrestling intro for this guy. He's known as the most enthusiastic man in comics for a reason. This guy walks around conventions with a speaker preaching the gospel of comics, and that's how I was introduced to him. Now, he's a really great guy. Michael Watson is a publisher of Freestyle Comics. He hosts Chat and Draw, which I've been on a bunch of times. He's Agent of the Nerdy. He's got a Twitch stream. He forced me to buy 2 or 3 games, and he's never played them with me, so I'm feeling some way about that. But Mike is a great guy, and Freestyle Comics has a complete slate. He's been doing his thing for quite a while, so I mean, I'm very happy to have him on the show with us.
Ditto. And he's helped us out with the Indie Comic Throwdown when we were doing that.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, it's a great guy. No matter what Brian says about you, we love you here at Indie Comics Dispatch, Mike.
It's all love. Brian works just as hard as I do, so he knows about that comic book grind, and you know the schedules don't hit sometimes.
Yep.
That's what we're gonna say. That's what we're gonna blame it on. Okay.
Next up, Quentin Rushing says impressive wall, Mike. So he's got wall envy. Quentin finally has wall envy. That's good to know. Next up, Bradley Golden. Bradley is the president and CEO of Second Sight Publishing, creator of the hit series such as Cold Blooded, Leave on the Light, and I'm sorry, or I can't say that, Bradley. You'll have to say it because my brain is still not firing on all cylinders. Co-writer for These Damn Kids, Sonny, creator of Mississippi Zombie. Bradley Golden, welcome to the show.
Hey,
how do you say that one title?
Overseeing.
Thank you. That seems obvious, right? I'll do Dimitrios, Brian, and then I'll let you intro Travis because I kind of plugged in Dimitrios's bio. So Dimitrios is the founder and CEO of Black Box Comics. Black Box Comics is an independent publisher based in New York, inspired by those who share an appreciation of comic writing and art, the comic industry, as well as avid readers all over the world who love great characters and great stories. Dimitrios, welcome back to the Dispatch.
Fellas, how are you? Thank you for having me back.
Thank you for coming.
And last but certainly not least, Travis Gibb. He's a publisher of Orange Cone Comics. He's been working in the comic world for about 20 years. He's best known for Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies, Voodoo Nation's Cthulhu Invades Oz, which I loved because I read a story before that even dropped. And live now, Granite State Punk.
Travis.
Hey!
Welcome. Gentlemen, so we are here tonight for something that's not always covered, but the differences between kind of being a individual who publishes comic books versus being a comic book imprint of your own. And we have varying states, Dimitrios and Bradley. I believe you're both distributed through Diamond, both in comic book shops, available nationally and internationally. And then we have slightly smaller press publishers with Freestyle Comics and Orange Cone Comics, but both still widely known. So guys, thank you for being here tonight. Let's just jump right in with going around the table and telling us first and foremost, what inspired you to be comic creators yourselves? Whoever wants to go first. I'm not going to call on you.
So what inspired me to be a comic creator? I wanted to be a superhero. So I am a huge geek, as you can see from the back of my wall. And I think subconsciously it was because I didn't see a lot of me out here doing fantastic things. So I wanted to see myself doing stuff. So I created my flagship character, Hotshot, to do those things and to be a superhero. But I think the biggest part of it was I was I believe I was depressed. Now, I never went and got diagnosed for it, but I was going through some real bad stuff in college. I would go outside with a smile on my face to do my job, and then when my job was over, I'd come in my room and I'd cry on my floor at night. And I wanted to tell this story about me, what I was going through, and I switched up a couple of things, but I wanted to see what happens when the superhero doesn't get their love. What if they don't get it? This isn't Mary Jane and Peter Parker that they keep breaking up and they get back together, or Cyclops with his ensemble of telepathic women. Or we're gonna put this character through the struggles and see what it's like. And once I got to tell that story, or I linked up with people to help me tell that story, it was not that I realized it at the moment. It was really, and people were rallying behind. People were buying this book. They wanted to know what was going on. I mean, there is an anti-hate party for our female lead character, Carla. And I keep fighting for it, but nobody wants to see her side of it. And to have people actually arguing online about this character, it's one of the greatest feelings ever, man.
That's awesome. Who wants to go next?
All right,
Travis.
I'll go. Yeah, we'll go in order. So for me, I wanted to be a filmmaker. So when I was in high school, film was my thing. Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith, Robert Rodriguez, living and breathing those things. Even went from New Hampshire, moved into Florida. And sorry, when I got here, I met the makers of Cross. Sorry, now we're all coughing.
I know, it's probably
right?
my fault.
What is that?
I met CrossGen, so when CrossGen was a thing, so I met all the independents there. And growing up, I'm from Rochester, New Hampshire, which is right next to Dover, New Hampshire. So when I grew up, the Ninja Turtles were in my backyard.
Oh, wow.
I met Kevin Eastman, Peter Lard on a regular basis because I was buying comics my whole life. I've collected Spider-Man since I was 10 years old. I have every issue of Amazing Spider-Man, as well as every X-Men from the 90s. We're not here to talk about my comic collection, but I lived and breathed it. So when film started to get hard and I realized how much money I needed to raise, I started to fall into comics and just fell in love with it because it allowed me to do those dreams, right? I'm not James Cameron. I don't have the money to go, hey, build me a T-1000. I need this liquid thing that doesn't exist. Make it, right? That's not going to happen. But I can tell an artist, hey, can you do this liquid thing like Venom a little bit, but smoother? I could do that. So that's what brought me into comics. And then I've been telling my stories in this format ever since.
I love it. Demetrios, let's go over to you.
So I mean, a lot like most of you, I've been a comic fan since I was a kid. I kind of fell off for a period of time, probably around the late 90s for a little while, and then came right back. And for career-wise, I do IT, banking, and some of you may or may not know, but one of our first titles launched was IT. And I basically thought it'd be a cool idea to have the IT guy as a detective within the banking system and uncover corruption and tell stories that way. So that's kind of what lured me to the industry. And then I was like, I need to create my publishing company because I have all these other ideas, and that's what kind of motivated me. And we went running from there. So
that's awesome. Bradley?
Well, what got me into comics, I was 9 years old and I was bullied every day because I had a speech impediment. And I didn't have many friends. Actually, I didn't have any friends. And my brother worked at the local grocery store, and he saw that. And he would bring me home comics every night. And you can say that's pretty much how I got started in comics and reading them, loving everything about them. But I really got my first break when I submitted Victoria Black to Ben Dunn at Antarctic Press. And he loved it. Then from there, I got into magazine, issue number 3, and issue number 4, 5, and 6. Then I pitched him League on the Light, and that's when Antarctic Press, ran my League on the Light. Then Cold Blooded was ran in their horror comics. Then from there, I got assigned with Caliber for Mississippi Zombie, which I created 7 years prior in my mom's basement. I was selling them at the local Comic Con here as, floppy, stapled them, Xeroxed them, you name it. Then from there, I got to deal with Caliber to do Mississippi Zombie and Harvest on Horror. So I'm like, I got all this momentum going in the industry. Why not take it a step further and let my titles at Caliber Comics be the springboard to bring in new talent? And once people see their talent at Caliber, get them that recognition from a known publisher, I can bring them into my own company and roll them out into their own series or own one shots or own trade. And from there, Second Sight started. We've been doing this for now 2 years. We're going strong.
Yeah, awesome. So Bradley, you already touched on a little bit there, but what was it like going from comic creator, right? Somebody who may just create comics, and to I'm gonna create my own imprint, and that may involve other people, that may just involve me creating a bunch of different titles of my own. What was it that the rest of you took you from creator to publisher?
I personally, I felt like there weren't enough horror comics out, and I'm not talking about psychological. I'm talking about old school 1990, late 80s slasher comics, slasher horror stuff. So I wanted to make that what Second Sight was, a horror company through and through with the old school feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've succeeded. Well, I think we have succeeded for the most part with Leave on the Light and Cold Blooded. We got Mr. Zombie, what brings that old EC style Tale from the Crypt, and Harvest to Horror, same thing. These Damn Kids coming up. That's our take on Children of the Corn.
I love that title, by the way.
Believe it or not, I was walking through the grocery store, and it was this old lady. She walked past me. She was funny. She was like, "These Damn Kids." I said, "That's my next title." You know what I'm saying? but yeah, just horror in general. I feel like that's a genre that haven't really been tapped. We got superhero, we got sci-fi, but horror really haven't been done as much as it should.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Others?
Awkward pause.
What took you from individual creator to publisher?
Who are you asking?
Anybody that wants to chime in.
I can do it. Yeah. So I had no desire to be a publisher whatsoever. Zero in any way, shape, or form. I wanted to do my books. I wanted to do Broke Down Voodoo. I just wanted Orange Cone Productions was just a front from my books, and then I did, one of the things that I'm really good at as a person, my background and what I do for a living is marketing. So I work in marketing. So I saw a hole that all these people were making a Kickstarter a year, right? So all these indie books were like issue 1, issue 2 next year. We're not all Watson. We can't do, every 4 months. We're not all like that. So I came up with the idea for the Advocator. So I had some partners, and what we would do is we'd take 4-page stories and put them in this book. And we kind of compiled those together. We did that for a year, and it worked out really well. And it allowed, a Broke Down to have, though I can't get the next issue out for a year, you get this little 4-page story to kind of help you along the way and grow your table a little bit as you're starting out. And that grow into going, hey, I'm starting to make some friends in this industry. Cthulhu seems to sell really well on Kickstarter. Why don't I ask every friend who's more talented than me to join me on this book, and we'll put this awesome book together. And we did, and it was awesome, and it sold gangbusters. The next one's coming out this year to do that. And as that happened, then my letterer, who's now been working with me 5 years, is like, hey, man, I have an anthology. but I live in Canada. It's really hard to ship. It's really hard to get backing in Canada. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. And then my wife's like, I want to write a book now. And comic stores are like, hey, can you make our book? Like, we have a comic store, but we'd like to make a book here. Cool. All right, I'll do that too. So then I just became a publisher, which was never my intention or plan. I even have this crazy other idea that I can't announce right now that like connects me with other publishers. It's literally like a concept that has multiple publishers involved with one story, like kind of like Silver Coin, if you guys know that. So you guys can figure out what could it be about. But yeah, so that's kind of went into that thing. It was just a natural evolution. You know, you have skills that you're good at. And if you're good at connecting and networking and loving, I love this community. So if I can help this community grow by using my knowledge and stuff, and I like it way better than just going, hey, Watson, you're really talented. Let me give you $200 for a cover, right? It's a lot more intimate, you know, to build those relationships.
Amazing. Dimitrios, what got Black Box started beyond your idea for a comic?
I feel like I kind of answered it the first time I went up, but I mean, I'll just quickly talk about what I said, that my banking career, IT, what led me to the first book and then to be a publisher, but also the connections that I had with a lot of artists and writers that I was friends with. Some of them, you know, saying, you know, pushing me, motivating me, like, hey, you could do this, you know, jump in and you know, create your own publishing company. You got great ideas. And I was lucky enough that I had that reach with people, and they were available whenever I called them if I needed advice. You know, because this was a new endeavor for me, right? It was completely a different market. Things are different. You're going from a 9 to 5 to, I'll say I'm pretty much 24 hours because I'm talking to people constantly, 2, 3, 4 in the morning.
Bradley.
7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It never stops.
That's what happens when you're on the Amazon bestseller list, brother. You gotta just, you know, you gotta take that
Right.
L.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, the adjustment is like from being like a manager or what I was which was a CIO, is, you know, people who worked for you, who worked for the bank, is different than, you know, contracting people. So a lot of things are different. You got to adjust and get comfortable with. So I mean, I'm happy I did it.
Awesome.
I actually want to jump ahead a little bit, Brett, and I'm gonna do my jump ahead thing because I'm interested, right? So I mean, I'm obviously aware of all of your companies, and I kind of know what books you put out, and I know it's like a kind of a diverse group. So I want to know what you guys look for in books that you publish. You know what I mean? Like we got Cthulhu, we've got slasher, we've got superhero. You know what I mean? So you run the gamut of books, but what are the ones you actually look for?
Unique, something that's unique, something that's not really been shown or really been written, if you will. Like for instance, I just show you Ballet of the Broken Heart. This right here is really a prose book. It's prose. It's one big poem he turned into actual comic. Stuff like that right here. We have Dirty America. It's a take on the whole book is friendship. It's about friendship. And let me do another one. I'll do this one. Mr. the Zombie 2. Yes, it's a horror book about zombies in Mississippi, but it's also about what will friends do in dire circumstances to come together to survive a single threat. You know, just they have to be unique in what they bring. But yeah, that's it for us. Just have to be unique. Have to have good artwork, of course. That's it.
What about the rest of you? Mike, if you're talking, you're on mute.
I am. My kids is running up and down the
Okay.
These damn kids.
These damn kids. Oh, Bradley decided he was done.
Right.
He'll be back. He'll be back.
question and leave. What else do you have to say? I look for motivated individuals. I try to find people that are like-minded like me. Then I look at the book kind of secondary. I love all types of stories. I love superhero. I love sci-fi. Well, not horror because I'm a punk. But outside of that, I consume all types of stories. So I kind of don't care what story it is. But if I see there's an individual that I see that's busting his butt online, that is promoting, that's genuine, that I see in the comic book conventions, that I see trying to go outside the norm of just saying the post of buy my comic book, click the link for this comic book. Then I have an interest in that person. So then now I'm going to go look at that person and see what they're doing, see what kind of products they have, see what kind of book they have that maybe I can see if it can fit with FSK, or do I want to bring them on to work a title for us? So, what's up, Lonzo? So it's because I've come across people that obviously will just do the work for the paycheck, and that's all fine and dandy. I'm not at all to each their own, but I definitely prefer the people that are passionate and invigorated to do the work of getting a dope comic book out and getting into people's hands, because I love to work in a team environment. So if I'm bringing you on to FSK, I'm like, that means I'm going to be calling you at random hours. Ryan is already starting to get it. He's messaging me randomly, and I'm going to, we're going to go to comic book conventions together. We're going to plot and plan, like, what are we going to do to get these books out here? Like, I'm doing an anniversary cover for our 25th issue that we've ever produced. So it's going to be an anniversary issue for us. And I've been working on this cover for like the last 4 days. And it's, and I put out today, I guarantee you've never seen our characters like this before. But like, I'm showing the FSK creatives, I'm reading their books and searching their books to get bits I need to put this together. And like, I'm showing them, getting them pumped. And it's a whole, like, it's a team thing. I feed off other people, and hopefully people feed off of me. I can't have quiet people around me. Now Veronica's quiet, but she's different. That girl works her ass off. She has like 6 books. She's exceptional.
Dimitrios, what does Black Box look for in new titles?
So everything that we've been doing has been basically are all my titles that we own. But the first title we did publish that's not ours is Shino Kaie, if you guys are familiar with it, which is a samurai fantasy story. And I think you need to look for somebody who's enthusiastic, who understands the business. Obviously, the stories have to be well written, twists, good art, have a good plan together. Even we're talking plans not just about what books and how many issues, but are you attending cons? Are you doing signings at shops? Are you willing to go the distance? You need somebody who's really serious if you're going to be publishing and not just winging it. So that was the decision. The guys who did this book did an excellent job, and we decided to publish it.
That's awesome. Travis, you say you got people approaching you to publish their books. What is there anything you look for?
Yeah. So, one of the things is I'm a super backer, and I'm not saying that to brag. Like, I back a lot of comic books that like to put in a super backer. But I find that there's, now and then I'll come across a book that made like $2,000 that like didn't get the push because he just can't promote because he's just a writer. Like, those are the guys who I'm looking for. I'm going to look for those guys who are writing these amazing books that no one's going to see because they're not as loud as me. Right? Does that make sense? So those are the people who I am looking for, because I'm in this weird transition where, I'm starting to get deals with other publishers, and I'm starting to move from where I'm at to the next phase. So there's room in our schedule. So who is going to take those slots and what does look for? Even someone like Jonathan Hendricks from the Recount. Like, I was one of the first ones that like, hey man, I signed him before the Recount was even a thing. He did a small little zombie book, and I wanted to give him a shot for Cthulhu Invades Oz because I saw his drive, and I know Black Box just signed him for some stuff, and like, it's seeing this talent that they have in them and being able to use that and go, hey, if I teach you a couple of things, can we get you to that next level, and how can I do that? Because that's what I'm goal to do. My goal is not publish books forever. I don't plan on getting a diamond account. I plan on putting my stuff to other places, but I am really good at Kickstarter. So how can I help you here to teach you this to get you to the next level and get you to where you need to go. So that's what I look for, is people who want to get that next level. And those are people, you know, when you look at if you look at Cthulhu Invades Oz, all those people are doing hit books now. When I signed that and they did Cthulhu Invades Oz, they weren't doing a lot of stuff. It kind of showed them, taught them, and got them the bigger swing of things.
Nice. So that's what you guys look for. Creators coming to you, pitching their title. You may not know them from anybody, but they come to you. You haven't been able to see them yet in action, like a lot of you have talked about. Well, what's one recommendation you'd give to somebody pitching you that you may not know? What could they bring you, or what shouldn't they bring you that might get them more attention or less attention?
I'll start, so you can do me. Let's just do me last. Put some skin in the game. Like, try. Like, a lot of times they come with just a script or a synopsis, and they want you to kind of do it. Like show that you're actually in this, right? Anybody can go, I have a really good idea, and write down a paragraph. Like, I want to show that you've got someone, even if you've hired people at a convention to do like 6 different people over the last year to do one character each. It shows some initiative, but just that one paragraph pitch is not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah, I like that. I would definitely say that. Let's see that you put some thread on the track. But for me, like, it's all about being genuine with your energy, man. If your story doesn't make you jump out the bed and say, let's go make comics, then why are you even trying to pitch to me? Like, I get up. I'm all about FSK. I'm excited about what we're doing. I'm excited about our book. I'm excited about our stories. When I get done drawing stuff, I'm immediately sending it off to like the creator of that book. Like, I'm just up stuff. Like, for Kickstarter, I love 5-star. I was very happy to have 5-star under our brand. I did 2 different covers. I said, no, I'm just doing those covers because I want to. So let's go make this Kickstarter happen. And and if you're not as excited as I am about your book, and as Brian has also said, I walk around a convention with a speaker and a mic, and I go hype up the crowd while they're waiting to get into the comic book convention. Don't pitch it to me, because then you're not trying to make comics. You're not trying to make comics with me.
Love it.
Well, if someone come to me and pitch me, I always tell them this one thing. I'm like, are you all in on it? I mean, if it's something that's really good, looks really good, story reads well, they have to be all in on that project, not just be in it for 1 or 2 issues. Then miss deadlines, can't get art done, can't get the lettering done, whatnot. They have to be ready to be all in for the long haul. Don't come at me with this script and a few pencil pages. I want full pages, full color pages. I want, if I can get 7, I want at least 5. And if you got a book done, I need 2. If it's a 4-issue miniseries. That's pretty much it.
Dimitrios.
A lot of what the guy said. I mean, we're kind of like saying the same thing, and it's about them being all in. I think the important part also is in the beginning is to be patient, make sure you do it right before you pitch it. Right? Spend the extra cash if you have to. If it's going to take an extra paycheck, wait for that extra paycheck. Whatever you got to do, don't go cheap on it, because that could make the difference. And pay attention to things like lettering. They don't really appreciate how valuable that is. So I would say wait and pitch it when it's fully ready.
Nice. That is true. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
You had it sounded like you had an intelligent thought, though.
I was just going to add, I often add that I feel like lettering is the most underappreciated part of comics. People don't know it's good lettering until they see bad lettering.
True, 100%. I wanted to talk about. I wanted to pop up, and I did pop up Dan Price's question because I think it's important, and it goes with what we're talking about here. So, as an indie publisher, what can you offer an indie creator to help their books get visibility and sales? Do you have store distribution? I think that comes up a lot, and I know I want to say real quick, Mike, I know this should probably hit home because there was previously a publisher that you were connected to, right? That was doing certain things and then it ended pretty abruptly. And there were questions about how much does going from being your own independent creator to being with a publisher, how much does that help? I mean, obviously in the smaller press version of this.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So I actually have two examples of that. I have an example of a publisher that started being a publisher that was based out of a comic store, and based off the conversations that I've had with them, that later proved to be full of smoke. I have a lot of business editors in the industry or whatnot. And that when I saw the comic shop, and I go to the comic, I shopped at the comic shop. I've seen the clientele and customers come in there. I'm like, this person knows how to run a business. This person knows a lot about comic books. Damn right, I'm going to sign up with this person to, get my books out. He's going to put the books in the store. It's his store. He can do whatever. He's probably going to have their own display. We'll have get-togethers with. No, none of that happened. Anything I thought that would have been common sense if you had a comic shop did not happen. And like it did not. It started off great. Let me say that it started off great. I got some good things from it, but it ended flat and did not end a good way. Then I got with another publisher by the name of Short Fuse Media Group. I learned so much from Sean Mack. My initial conversation with him, he was saying all the things and knew all the things that the previous person should do about producing and making comic books. And I learned a lot there, and it helped severely because Short Fuse had a name. They had a lot of successful Kickstarters. So by my association with them, I got some of that audience. I got some of that light. I got to bathe in that success and bring my books over. We got picked up very nicely over there. So it's great to start off with somebody that that's established and knows what they're doing versus someone that doesn't and talks like they do. It's different if you get with some people and you're like, hey man, I don't know what to do. Let's put our heads together and let's try to solve this thing because I think we can make it happen together. That's completely different than somebody boasting about, oh, I can do this, I can do that. Don't worry, let's make this happen. And then come to find out. So it helps, but everybody's got to make their own choice. It works for them at the end of the day.
Anybody else want to add on to that?
Sure. And this is speaking from someone who doesn't do Diamond. I have 25 stores that all my books are in, like at any time. And I do signings for about 10 of them, to make sure stuff. So I try to build that. Mine tend to be East Coast based. They tend to be Florida, New Hampshire, and Texas are my biggest strongholds. And then a little bit Michigan. But I think that's important. Can you pop up the question again? Because there was a specific answer I wanted to answer.
Hold on.
I got it.
Oh, shit.
Right. What do you guys got?
Brett, leave me alone.
Yeah, so that helps them get the visibility as the stores will. That's one of the successes to my Kickstarters. Not this one. This one I actually don't have retail tiers for reasons that I can't announce, but there's reasons. But normally you'll see on my Kickstarters, I have more retail tiers than more people because retailers trust me because I get those books out within 30 days when I'm done. I don't pitch a book on Kickstarter until it's done. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying that's what I do. So those things help and help build that trust because stores are used to a quicker turnaround. So you build that. And I know how to talk to a store for your particular book to get you in there, right? Like, are they doing live sales? How can you be part of those live sales to sell your book? Because you can get into a store, but everyone who goes to a comic store, you'll find that indie section. It's far away from all the regular stuff on the back wall at the bottom, just sitting there, local heroes or something that you can pick, the 6 books that they have been holding on to forever. So I try to help elevate that and make myself a name when I do a signing there or get them excited. And that's part of getting that visibility and creating that brand.
Guys, I apologize for me constantly dropping out. I stay in a rural area and it's raining, and I have dish internet.
You're good. It happens more frequently than you'd probably guess on the show where somebody just has a bad internet night. So it's no big deal. Anytime you drop, just feel free to pop back in. We were talking about Dan's question about how can publishers offer visibility in sales and store distribution. Do you want to talk for a minute, Bradley, about distribution?
Well, actually, I'm gonna start before we actually got our diamond deal going. The way we used to do is we used to call a lot of stores in different states, a lot of stores, and tell them about our book and see if they're interested in putting them in their store for a percentage. And believe it or not, a lot of the stores were open to it, you know. So that's one way we actually did it. And then there's the other thing is we reached out to YouTubers about doing exclusives for their channel. You know, we did that for like a year. No, we got the one with the Ghost Rider with Mr. Billups. We did one for shit. Yeah, I got to look over there. Comics Elite. I did two for Comics Elite. And then I did one recently for Uncanny Comics. So I mean, just reaching out to these stores, letting them know what you got, and if they're interested in, you know, sending copies out to them. Then once we got our diamond deal, that's when things got a little crazy, to say the least. Just spreading the word about our books and diamond and the previews. You know, letting the YouTubers who we actually did exclusives with, you know, talk about it on their YouTube channels and whatnot. Do giveaways. I know when I was working with Antarctic Press, I actually did giveaways of books.
Very cool. Very cool. Dan Schmidt, I'm going to pop Dan up here. Great book. If you guys haven't read Dan's work, he's an amazing writer. Worms Crawling. Do you regard creative teams differently than a single creator who writes and draws? Does that matter to you?
No.
I didn't figure it would, but you're on mute, Travis.
Yeah, I'm going to be the odd man out and say it does a little bit. You know, when I look at something to promote, more names are better, right? The more names I get is the more chances I have to promote, because anybody who's done this been in the game for a little bit. I'm looking at Watson specifically. You know, you get a whole bunch of people, and out of that whole bunch of people, that one name is promoting, that one name is pushing it out. So if it's really risky, and I have to really build the trust with that guy that I know that they're going to be the guy if they're going to be an all, because it's really hard to be the marketer, the writer, the artist, the letterer, the colorist, the blah, 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 you know, the whole thing. It's really hard to do that. It's a lot of bandwidth. So when I look for someone, I prefer someone with a team that shows collaboration and shows also that they do work well with others, or at least appears to be so. That not always works out that way, but they can work on something and complete something. But that being said, he did complete Mr. Dan, right? Dan, that's his name.
Yeah, Dan Schmidt. Yeah.
Sorry, I also have COVID brain.
It's a thing, right?
It is. Your head's all a little foggy. Like,
yeah,
it's hard to remember.
I still got this cough. I had the last week.
Damn.
I still got the cough.
But I hired Dan for Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies to do a backup story. You know, him doing the whole thing. So you know.
Dan is remarkable. He's a remarkable writer and an artist, and you don't always get that all in one package. And so I always preach the gospel of Worms Crawling. If you haven't bought it, go buy it. It's an amazing story. How do you think the industry is changing? You know, we've gone through almost 2 years now of COVID, reduced conventions. How do you think the industry is changing as publishers? When you look out there, what do you see the trends? Where do you see the change coming?
The one biggest change that I've seen throughout this whole thing since COVID started is that the indie creative is more united than I've ever seen them before, and has severely and honestly been super incredible just to be able, and like we're all out here trying to eat. And like, I think finally, like a lot more people, because I'm not going to say no one got this, I think a lot more people are understanding that there's enough for us to eat at the table. We all have a fan base, and people, there's enough of them out here. There's 7 billion people on this planet. Trust me, we can all get our books out here to people. We don't have to fight each other to get over top of each other. And I think that's the biggest difference I've seen with people being at home. They have been forced to look for other resources and things to do, which has pushed them to the internet, which has really boosted up streaming. And it has made creators such as you guys and everybody else get some type of streaming thing happening, whether it's weekly or for certain situations or whatnot. And just, I mean, it's just all this networking that wasn't happening before that's happening now. It's like everybody's just like, boom, oh, you make this book, great. I make this book. Where are you going to be at? Where are you popping up at? Hey, maybe we can link up with this. Like, it's just been, it's been great.
Well, and changing, I think, long before COVID. I think COVID accelerated it a lot because of Diamond shutting down for a little while, and just all the other options that we have now with Kickstarter and a lot of people using Indiegogo, and it's just a lot of people are leaving from the big two and just running their own publishing companies, or it's just self-publishing. It's just, there's a lot. So the options are tremendous now for indies, and indies are on the rise. One thing is, obviously we always have to thank our retailers, our fans, but like Travis mentioned, he's a super backer. So, and people, I think, forget sometimes how much indie creators back other creators. Mm-hmm. So that's the big thing of the community. So, the rising tide lifts all boats kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I've noticed that COVID and the new change in indie, and if you read any major newscast, they'll talk about the rise of indie. Mm-hmm. They see it, they hear it. What's really cool and what COVID did is it filled up all these decent publishers like the Vaults and the Scouts and the Source Points, people who've been doing things for a little bit, and it filled them up fast. Like, because everyone all right, well, I'm not going to try this, and people are publishing less, so they filled up these backlogs, which are allowing people like Second Sight to get a big position really fast. So these new publishers, or Black Box. I actually said at the beginning of the year, Black Box is now a company that I'm like, oh, that's on my hit list. Like, and I didn't even know who they were a year ago. And I say that as a kudos of how much they've made an impact. And because of the swelling of all those things, they're just like, we can't produce any more books or we're going to lose our fans and quality. All these other companies who are grabbing these talented writers are elevating, getting to this next status, which is helping the industry kind of level out, which is great, right? Because, you've got the big two, and then you get the big two in India, and then you keep going down. There's these other big twos, and now it's kind of leveling out. So Indie's on a more level market. Even Image, look at how many Image books are coming out compared to what used to come out, right? It's about half of what it used to come out. So it's kind of leveling all that because a lot of people are still scared because of COVID, and it's making it a really cool, exciting time. And it's allowing people to not necessarily, which is bad for some publishers, but not always be publisher loyal, and will bounce around a lot more, to Vaults, to a Black Box, or to a IDW or a Hoy, all these different publishers, which I think is really cool and super unique. It's never happened before, as far as I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, Bradley.
My mind is blown right now. I mean,
we're all there with you, man. You can always say pass.
Just like
he didn't just pass; he left. I'm done with you guys.
He's like, I'm done. Fuck you guys. Fuck you.
I need a minute. These damn kids.
Well, Travis, you mentioned the big two, and so there's a lot of indie creators out there who have dreams of being creating their own big two. Yeah.
Hold on before you go, Brett.
Yeah.
Only because I actually just want to cut you off, and I want to do my Brett impression and ask this question myself.
Okay.
Like literally, that's the only reason.
Do it.
So, what's one piece of actionable advice you'd offer a new creator?
I'll
Anybody?
I don't think that was his question.
That was going to be it. I promise you it was.
Actually, I was going to go back up the list. We skipped one earlier.
You're lying. You're lying.
No, I was going to say, what's the hardest part about being? You can do your
I
white
don't do it
impression
anymore.
again in a minute, but I was going to say, what was the hardest thing to learn as a publisher? Like, what was the hardest lesson you had to learn? And then Brian was right. My next question was going to be that one.
This is kind of a double-bladed sword for me. Fearless transparency. I had to learn it on different levels of experience, and I had to learn it through the first publisher I was with versus the second publisher I was with to where I'm at now. It is hard, to come to team members and deliver bad news that things aren't going to work out, and not beat around the bush with it, and just like completely be straightforward with it. And it's hard because you don't ever go for me. I can only speak for myself and my own experiences, but you don't want to be the deliverer of those bad news. Number one, you have people that have put some level and degree of faith in you, and come back and see a plan burn up and not work. That is a happy feeling. But then also trying to, when delivering this news, in the back of your head, you're thinking, who's going to stay? Who's going to leave? Like that's kind of like when you're first jumping into these things, that's a scary thought of like really finding out what your foundation is. What people are really down for you to say, hey man, yeah, that sucks, man. That sucks. We got to figure out a way around it, but I'm still here. Or, dude, that sucks. That sucks to hear. I got the bounce. And like that reveal of who people are can be very frank and not expected. So if you can't tell, I've had a lot of ups and downs. I like to say my experience in comic books was like climbing Mount Everest, and I'm still climbing. So I've got just as much good as I've got bad experiences, which have all become learning experiences, which is exactly why I am so loud and vocal and 100% genuine in everything that I say, everything that I work. I don't ask anybody to do anything that I do not do myself. I'm not done. I try to be as straightforward as possible with people. I don't like beating around the bush. I don't like tiptoeing around things. I don't like you having to try to assume what I'm saying. So that would be one thing for me.
I love it. I think those are hard things to work on and learn for anybody, a part of any team. But I can't imagine as a publisher kind of holding the keys to stuff, having to deliver bad news and yeah, very insightful. Who else?
All right, I'll go. I'm just waiting. So there's two things that I've learned. One is if once you get to a certain level, people have your back, and then then some of those turn to shade, and they just do, and they do it behind your back. And I don't know why it happens, because I still have their back, and it's okay. One of the things that I learned really early on, and this is advice I got from a co-publisher Scout. I was in an internet argument with somebody, and he really said some really bad things to me. So I went off on him as well. And he messaged me the next morning, and he's like, who's such and such? And I said, oh, such and such is blah, 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 blah. No, you didn't hear my question. Who's that? Because I know you and I don't know him. Stop fighting with people who aren't worth your time. And I was like, damn, all right. And I've used that advice, and I've given that to a lot of people when I see them into these news, because it's easy to feud in the indie scene because we're all chasing our dreams, right? We're all chasing our dreams. And if you perceive someone's dream is interfering with yours, it's going to cause conflict. So I think that's why you see so many. But I think most of them just kill out. I'm not trying to kill your dream. And you're not trying to kill mine. Let's just move on. Let's do our thing. Everything seems to be fine. At least, people were doing honest, good things like the people I hang out with. Second thing, everybody's expectations is different, right? even you can write everything in a contract of what they're getting and what they're expecting. Their expectations is always different than what they thought. And I don't know why. I don't know what caused it. And how you address that really dictates. And Watson kind of get on that. How you address that really shows your character and how you resolve it. You know, a lot of times, you know, I offered money or comps for Cthulhu Invades Oz, and some people wanted both. And I just rolled with it, gave them what they wanted to try to make sure that they were happy, because the goal is to make everyone happy and proud to be in the book. And I don't want anybody to have a bad thing of that. And that costs you some money. But it's okay to do things like that. If you're a publisher, make sure you're willing to take that risk, and you're going to do right by somebody, because it's better to just, you know, we signed this contract, blah blah blah, all these things. I thought you knew. It's just better to just do it as long as it's within reason, right?
Great advice. Great advice. Dimitrios?
For me, it's just like I said earlier, that it's a different industry for me. So I had to learn the process, managing my time differently. You know, the way you negotiate is different. Personalities, everything is different, and there's always a challenge. I think what Travis just mentioned as a key is like contracts and whatever it is that you discussed, and you keep your word on that. And I haven't felt like it's been difficult. I just think it's more like a hustle that you just work hard and you'll get everything done that you need to. And then if you have the resources that you need, makes it even easier. So like I said, I was able to reach out to people if I had questions. So,
Bradley?
What was the question?
Sorry, yeah, you had popped away. But what was the question again? What was the hardest part to learn when you became a publisher? Like, what was the hardest thing that as a publisher is different than just being a creator?
The hustle, man. The grind. Actually, the promoting, the contract. The contract is definitely one of them. Like Travis actually hit on, certain creators, when they sign certain contracts, they have certain expectations, and when things don't hit that expectation, that's when there's conflict. Not only that, but just the infighting. Certain creators don't like what other creators are doing, and you know, gotta straighten all that out.
That is one of the things that I've noticed here and there, because people talk to me about stuff. Is couple you mentioned, the infighting and the shade, and it's a shame that happens. It really is. Before we go back to Brian's Brett impersonation, because I want to hear it again, I'm going to go back to a question Brad Arney asked earlier, because I love it. Do you have any advice on how to get out of comics? I'm afraid an intervention may be in the works for me. It really does become a suck, doesn't it? You both mentioned you all mentioned 24/7 the hustle, and so I think Brad's just echoing that. I love that. He typed that in.
We don't want to lose Brad. Brad's a great supporter for the indie community, so
100%.
we are not giving that advice to him. So you're all in, brother.
Brad is, and he's a frequent listener to the show, and we appreciate you, Brad. You're an awesome guy. Okay, Brian, take it away.
I already did it once, man. It hurt. It's, you know, no, actually, honestly, I think the guys really covered it in the, you know, what was the hardest part they had to learn. I think that they really did give a bunch of actionable advice to everybody out there if they were listening, because that's really where it kind of boils down, in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe so too. And in the what to bring to a pitch also. I mean, that's invaluable advice for creators. Anybody? So Travis, you have a current Kickstarter going on, right?
I do, yeah. I have a.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit. I have a comic called Granite State Punk. It is literally the best thing I've ever written. It is punk rock meets New Hampshire folklore, meets witches, meets Alcoholics Anonymous, meets swearing. Like, it's kind of a fourth wall breaking witch occult awesome story that I think you guys will really dig. It's really kind of punk rock, SLC punk meets The Witcher, you know, or probably a more Blair Witch Again, that fog brain. But no, it's really, really fun. It's a fun book. I've paid the most for art and everything, and it's just a one shot. I'm really proud of it. So definitely check it out at granitestatePunk.com.
Awesome. Anybody else have anything coming up that we need to give a shout out to? I think
I do. I have the company's first Kickstarter is hitting February the 1st.
Nice.
Live on a Light 1856 by Brian Hawkins and drawn by Chris Panda. That's gonna be something awesome, man. I mean, I've read the scripts for it. Brian is unbelievable.
Brian is just everywhere, man. I mean, he's right over at Black Box. Brian is he's everywhere right now. Brian Hawkins, that is.
Yeah. You got a good one. Brian is awesome.
We got another title coming out with him next month called Wilder.
That's awesome. Man. That's awesome. He's amazing.
Brian's hustling. Shout out to Brian.
Yeah. Good. Well, Brian Lambert, got anything to add before we sign off?
No, man. I'm just, honestly, really extremely happy to be in this esteemed company. You guys all bring very diversified, very different content, but all in a very strong manner. So it's dope to see it happening, and it's dope to see this indie movement actually improving and filling the gaps that people talk about in mainstream quote unquote comics. So obviously, thank you guys for all being here.
Yeah, totally.
I actually had one more advice since we're talking about publishers and stuff. Be friends with publishers. Be friends with people in it. Recently I've been getting the runaround with something, and then everybody kind of explained to me why, and like 3 different friends were protecting me, and it was really cool to be like, oh, all right, cool. Like you feel like you're getting the runaround, but if you're doing good and you're putting stuff, I've actually tabled at the Scout booth. Like they're just like, hey, we have an extra spot. Why don't you come table with us? And like it was an odd thing being like, oh, do you have a book with Scout? Oh, well, no, but like I sit here, but it also allowed me to use my form. I got to try some things. The publisher Scout wanted me to help him. He got really busy. They were signing a contract behind the scenes that was going to take all his time. So I got to sell variant covers for him. So I made a few calls and sold 6 variant covers in like 2 days, which was super dope. And it was really cool to be able to do that, and a lot less heart attack when they tell you no because it's not your book, right? It's way easier when they're like, no, I don't want to do that. That's cool. I'll move on. Like, you tell me no, I'll be like, but why? It's so good. Like, it's so good.
That's awesome. That's great advice. I mean, and what I found too, as somebody newly inserted into the indie comics community, is that people are more than willing to be your friend too, and talk to you, and it's amazing. It really is amazing. So don't stay away from that crowd that's talking shit about people, and go run towards the people that they're probably talking shit about, because those are the helpful people. Those are the people that you want to be friends with. Oh, Mike, Dimitrios, Travis, Bradley, thank you guys for being here. Like Brian already said, I echo everything he said. It's amazing having you guys on tonight. Several people in the chat have said, what a great show, what great advice you've given. Dan Price, a Powerhouse Distro over on Instagram. Thank you guys for complimenting and tuning in tonight. We'll be back next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we're actually talking. See, this is where my mouth.
What are we doing,
Brian? Talking. Come on, you say it for me, because I'm gonna.
I don't know what you. I actually don't know. I can't guess what you're talking about anymore.
Hirueri. Good. I think I said it right. Which is a draw list, a prompt list of Black superheroes that gets run every February by Aaron Beatty, comic book artist, and so we'll be featuring that. Aaron will be on the show next week, along with several of the creators that are being featured in this year's and past lists. So looking forward to that. And then Brian and I have an overdue planning meeting to plan out the rest of February, so we'll announce that soon.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, guys, thank you again for joining us. Everybody out there watching, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, everybody.